Hey y'all, Tanny Cooks here, and today I'm going to show you how to make an absolutely delicious peach cobbler dump cake with Jiffy box cake mix. Yes, Jiffy mix, y'all. It is so easy and it is so delicious. You're going to want this on your summer table. So let's get to cooking. You're going to need 1 stick of butter, but you might need a couple of tablespoons more as we go along, so just have that on standby. I have 2 boxes of Jiffy golden yellow cake mix. So this is not the cornbread, y'all. This is the actual cake mix, and that's what you want. You can find it at some stores, but you may have to look around. There is a Fruit Magic cobbler recipe on the side of the box, and I kind of used that, but I doubled it up because I'm making this in a 13 by 9 pan. I am using peach pie filling and topping. Now, these cans are pretty expensive, so sometimes I buy the store brand. I'm also using a can of sliced peaches that is the store brand. There's also a peach cobbler recipe on the 21-ounce can of peach pie filling, and so I'm just doing a combination of this recipe and the one on the Jiffy box mix. But this is a 21-ounce can, and you can pause it to see the nutrition facts of each. Of course, the light peaches will have less sugar because it is light. I'm also adding some cinnamon, and I have some coconut oil spray and organic brown coconut sugar because of the glycemic index. So I like the combination of using pie filling and also the sliced peaches to make it more cobbler-like versus just using one or the other. And I am going to cook this and season it. So this is the pie filling, how it looks, just opening the can. And then we have our peaches. You can also do this recipe with fresh peaches and frozen peaches. How you prepare them will just be slightly different. So I'm going to drain all of the liquid out of my light peaches, and I did that off camera. And there you go. I just drained my peaches. In a stainless steel pot, I am melting about 2 tablespoons of butter. So this is separate from my 1 stick. I added butter because I don't want the pan to scorch when I add in my light peaches. And I want to cook these down. This is a 29-ounce can, which will give me the perfect amount of filling I need for a 13 by 9 baking dish. I'm adding 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, ground cinnamon. If you have pumpkin pie spice, you can use that instead of cinnamon. I'm also adding 1 cup of my organic coconut brown sugar. I like this instead of regular brown sugar, but you can use what you have. Some people also mix in regular white granulated sugar, but I'm happy with just this coconut brown. And then I want to give this a mix because I want the sugar to melt down and become a thicker glaze with these peaches. And while that's going, I'm going to spray my 13 by 9 glass dish with some coconut oil spray. Now, to me, the coconut has a nice flavor and a dessert-like flavor. If you don't have this, you could use a little butter in the bottom of the pan. But I turned down the heat so that my sugar in my pot didn't burn. And what I'm looking at is the thickness of that syrup on my silicone spatula. So now I have my peach pie filling. What I'm going to do is pour this can directly in my baking pan. I did give it a taste just to make sure I like it, and I didn't need to add any sugar or anything like that. So this is perfect just straight out the can. And then I'm going to combine it with my cooked peaches. The texture of this is a little bit different than the actual peaches that I'm cooking on the stove. So I like that variety. And as you notice, as I pull my spoon up, you can notice a difference in the thickness. Now, it wasn't as thick as I wanted, so I wanted to add just a tablespoon of cornstarch, but because I was holding my camera with one hand, I added a couple of more tablespoons than I wanted. Maybe 1 tablespoon more. And so you don't want to do that. And so it looks like it's going to be clumpy, and I'm just going to press the cornstarch into my sauce so that it all does cook down. Just add 1 tablespoon. Some people will actually mix their cornstarch with a bit of water and then add that, the general slurry mix, but I just added my cornstarch directly because we're going to be cooking this anyway, so it will cook down with the butter that we're going to put on top. So remember, we're using raw cake mix on it, so the cornstarch will blend right in. So now what I'm going to do is pour my cooked peaches onto my peach pie filling. You can notice definitely there is a color difference, but you won't even be able to notice it once we cook it. And this is all from just 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. So a little bit of cinnamon does go a long way, and it tastes so good. And it smells good already, and we haven't even baked our cobbler yet. So just blend it together, mix it together, and then spread it out in your pan. And look at how beautiful and luscious this looks. You can even see the specks of cinnamon on it. So Because this is a 13 by 9 pan, I am going to use 2 boxes of the Jiffy Golden Yellow Cake Mix. So it's very simple. We're going to add our first box of Jiffy Cake Mix to the top. You would do the same step as if you were using a regular box cake, not the Jiffy brand. So this is how it looks with 1 box of cake mix, Jiffy. If you like more filling than crust, then you can certainly use 1 box of Jiffy, which is what the Fruit Magic Cobbler recipe on the side of the box says. It says 1 box of Jiffy to 1 21-ounce can of pie filling with a half a stick of butter and an 8-inch square pan. 8-inch square pan, but I'm using 2 boxes of the Jiffy and double the fruit and a 13 by 9 pan. So now what I'm doing is unwrapping my butter, and you want to use cold butter. So you don't want this to get room temperature because it'll be easier to slice and place on the cake mix if it's cold and you have the solid squares, as you can see here. So I am slicing my butter. Kind of thinly for most of the pieces, and then you just want to place it on the top of the cake mix. And you'll see that the butter isn't going to 100% cover the cake mix. So this half a stick covered half of my 13 by 9 pan, but even between the pieces of butter, you can see that there are some exposed pieces of cake. That's okay. We have a couple of things that we'll do later as it's baking to mitigate that. I put the whole stick of butter on top, and then I let it bake for like the first 5 or 6 minutes just so I can check it. And I'm kind of blending in the melted butter with the dry spots of cake mix because I don't want dry patches of cake mix. The butter is going to help it to cook and to get brown. So after another 5 minutes, I went in spots that were still dry, I just sprayed with a little bit of my coconut oil because I didn't want to add more butter. 1 stick of butter is plenty. So here I have my cast iron trivets. I put these on my counter to protect my countertop. These are pretty heavy, and they have little hangy things on it, or you can hang it on your wall for decoration. But my cobbler is finished. I baked it in the oven at 350 degrees for about 45 minutes. You do want to check it maybe at the 30-minute mark. You'll start to smell it at least, and you want to make sure that you don't have any dry spots, and you might need to rotate it in the oven just so it can cook evenly, and you want it to brown but not burn. And y'all, look at this. I did let it set on my counter for about 10 to 15 minutes, and it's still piping hot steaming when I scooped it out to my plate. So the fruit filling is very, very hot, so you definitely want to let it cool down before you serve this to children to be sure they don't burn themselves. You as well, you don't want to burn your mouth either. It is quite rich. I found the Jiffy cake mix to be sweet, and I did taste the fruit separately. The sweetness wasn't in the peaches that I cooked with the brown sugar. It really was the Jiffy mix, but I'm not used to eating cake like that, so maybe this is the way it normally tastes, and you'll love it. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please subscribe to my channel.